Doesn't matter what time of the year you make a contribution to your Roth IRA or maybe do your Roth conversion. I would say it absolutely matters, and you want to have a game plan for this because it could lead to thousands of dollars difference in tax sheltered growth over your lifetime. What are those rules? What are those principles? I've got that and more coming up. A few weeks ago, I posted a video asking you, what is your biggest tax planning question right now? And then proceeded to get into some of the details of what I expected it would be. The most common question we get is about Roth conversions, and no surprise, got a lot of fantastic Roth conversion questions, but also no surprise, got a lot of fantastic questions in general. I just love the community we've created here, and so thank you for your questions. Continue to leave them below. Any question you leave in a video, I'm going to see, and I'll use it for creating helpful content to you in the future. So continue to leave those sorts of questions. But I'm going to hit a few rapid fire, and then I'm going to go deep into one of them. So first, winning the award for most creative YouTube name out there, Jane Doe. Absolutely love that. So her question was, if you do a Roth conversion now at the very end of the year, I'm recording this in December, how do you prove the date of the conversion to the IRS so that you're not assessed, penalties for not paying tax estimates and so on? The date is not, as she lists here, the date of the Roth conversion is not on the 1099. So how do you prove it to the IRS? In your tax software, you're able to distinguish in what quarter you had certain income. So depending on the tax software that you use, there might be a backdoor way of finding it, or there might be a tricky way of finding it. But in your tax software, in the tax software that we use here, you're able to indicate when certain income occurred. Therefore, you would avoid this sort of penalty. So fantastic question. Dig into your software, work with your CPA that's doing your tax preparation. They should know how to basically make that work so you're not assessed that penalty. Steve asked a fantastic question, a very common one for those of you that are looking to retire early. This is a huge financial planning strategy that we help a lot of clients through. And his issue was, my challenge is I'm turning 60 and I'm trying to balance getting affordable health care, subsidized, and doing Roth conversions. Yeah, that tension early in retirement. Work with your certified financial planner on that. But just did a video, a special edition video with CFP in our office, Tanner Watson, where we were talking through this exact issue. And one of the strategies that he recommends, and I actually talked to some of the other advisors on our team, and they're all doing it this way, is as they build out different tax projection scenarios, right? So where you're building out a mock tax return of, all right, this is what I think my tax year is going to look like. And then if we do a conversion, here's what it will look like. And then if we do a bigger conversion, this is what it will look like. Factoring in losing the tax, the healthcare subsidies as part of the cost of doing the conversion can help you more objectively determine, well, when would it make sense to do this conversion? When would it not make sense? Losing out on the subsidies, I mentioned in that video, and I firmly believe it's just a very emotional and frustrating circumstance. And so because of those emotions, it's very easy in that circumstance to say, I'm not doing a Roth conversion. But when you actually build out that projection and do it sort of multi-year and sort of look right now from that perch over what the next few years could look like, and then adding in, well, if we lose the subsidy this year because we do a bigger conversion, this is what that cost would be. It might help you make an objective decision. So if you haven't checked out that video, I'd encourage you to do so. Work with your CFP. That's a great and common scenario. Several more good questions that I'm going to hit on future content, but the one that I wanted to do a deep dive came from fan of the show, Longbow Rider. Here's the question. I contribute $8,000 to my Roth IRA each year directly from my brokerage account. Okay, love it. I usually make the transfer in January, but this video has me thinking about waiting for a market pullback later in 2026, almost like timing like a mini Roth conversion. What do you think? I think that can be an excellent idea. And part of that just is circumstantial right now. We've had an unbelievable run in the stock market. When you look at the slope of the stock market, let's say from the tech bubble to the great financial crisis, and then from the great financial crisis up to 2016, and then COVID, and then from COVID to 22, and then from 22 to now, the slope is it's at a different level, guys. How the market has performed over the past 3 years is extraordinarily unusual. And therefore, we know markets hit all-time highs, retreat from those all-time highs, and then go on to make new all-time highs. I think you should brace yourself for a potential pullback. It's inevitable. Don't know if it'll happen in 2026. Don't know if it'll happen in a couple months or in several months. So this strategy could work. However, the reason why I double-clicked on this one and thought, oh no, this is one we got to lean into is what are some rules? What are some guardrails? What are some principles that can help you time when to do a Roth conversion or when to do Roth contributions, that sort of thing, that don't require you to time the market, okay? And it just, as I read Longbow's question, I thought, well, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but, well, I've set up guardrails in my system. We recommend these same sort of guardrails and principles for the clients that we serve. And I just wanted to share them here. First guardrail or first rule is I fund my Roth IRA as soon as I possibly can at the very beginning of every year. So just like Longbow mentioned, he funds his Roth IRA in January every year. I love that rule. I love that guardrail. And yeah, in certain circumstances, you might say, nah, should I pause? Should I slow down? Just like he's mentioning here. But without overthinking it or trying to time the market, I love that rule. Fund your Roth IRA, your Roth IRA contribution early in the year right away. Why? Because looking at historical averages, 3 out of every 4 years in the stock market are positive. And therefore, even though we don't know the upcoming year or the future, just relying on that historical data, this rule leverages that high probability, 75% of all years are positive. Therefore, getting that contribution in early so that you get even more, on average, tax-sheltered growth, a fantastic rule. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, or guardrail number 2, I then contribute to my Roth 401k out of every paycheck. And partly that's, because that's how the 401k works. You can't just write a check and make the contribution. But second, I want to optimize. I want to leverage the benefit of dollar cost averaging, where if you're contributing a consistent amount each and every paycheck or at regular intervals, you're buying more shares when those prices temporarily decline. So like we had this year with the tariff tantrum happening in late March, early April, hopefully you had a well-timed 401k contribution at that moment and you were able to buy stocks at a 15% discount before they had a record-setting rebound. So in addition to contributing to my Roth IRA right away as early as I can at the beginning of the year, I combine that with a Roth 401k contribution every single paycheck. And then the third rule, I then look for an opportunity throughout the year for a dip in the market to do a Roth conversion. And if I don't find that opportunity or I miss it, I do my Roth conversion in the fourth quarter. Why? Well, this leverages the historical data that shows on average, there will be an inter-year decline from a peak to a low point of about 14%. That is astounding, right? So what we experienced with the tariff tantrum in late March, early April was very fast, but that's actually average. It's hard to believe that from a high point to a low point in a given year, we're going to see a decline of about 14%. What we don't know is, will the market run straight up to start the year and then we'll see that decline? We don't know that, right? But if we do see those intermittent declines and you can capture it, then having this third rule where, let me do a Roth conversion, that can be an opportunistic way to take advantage of those. If you missed the timing because it was a flash in the pan like the tariff thing, or you weren't attentive, or you thought it was going to go lower, or your financial life was just not as clear, then in the fourth quarter, that's when I then do my full tax projection and do my Roth conversion then. Why? So that I can leverage having as much of the tax year in the rearview mirror so that I can plan most accurately for how much Roth conversion to do. So in this upcoming year, it may make sense to deviate from rule number 1 and hope maybe for a pullback in the market, and that's when you do your Roth contribution. Instead, though, and without needing to overthink it, I like fund that make that contribution to your Roth IRA as early in the year as possible. Do your Roth 401k contributions every single paycheck, take advantage of dollar cost averaging, and then look for opportunistic times to do a Roth conversion. And if not, do that in the fourth quarter. That can help you leverage the tax-free growth of the Roth IRA over not just this year, but a few years, but really over a full career and a lifetime. So work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a certified financial planner, you know our team is here to help. You can find us online. wisemoneyshow.com is where you can find us. Korhorn.com as well, Korhorn with a K, or you can give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.